What's going on, guys? CrustyKs here from GoldBoys.com, coming to you with the MLB slate preview for Wednesday. We have a monster slate on our hands. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into the slate. The first one here, Minnesota taking on Baltimore. Bailey Ober versus Dean Kramer. A lot of weather on this slate, so be careful placing these bets. But for me here, I like the Twins. It really comes down to Dean Kramer. He's been really good his last two starts, but the advanced metrics are still terrible. He's a guy who, in my opinion, is due to get lit up, and I think it comes here. This Twins team's been hot. They've been crushing righties. This is a team that's kind of hitting their stride as of late, and I think that continues here. I'm not a big Bailey Ober guy, but honestly, this Baltimore offense just doesn't scare me right now. They really struggle runners in scoring position. That really hasn't changed much, even in these last couple games that they've won. And I don't see it just, it's not something you just magically flip a switch and all of a sudden it's fixed. So I think we take advantage of that here, and I like the Twins at plus money on the road. Our next one here, the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Like I said, we got a lot of games with weather. This one has, I believe, one of the highest chances on the slate. So we'll see if they play. But Eric Fetty taking on Jesus Luzardo. For me here, it's got to be the Phillies. There is no lineup for this game yet, so I'm guessing it's going to be pretty juiced. But probably a parlay piece, if anything. But I like the Phillies on the money line here. This is just a spot where Fetty against the Phillies, I think he gets absolutely turked on. This is a guy who's struggling against lefties. Obviously, there's a lot of big lefty bats in this Phillies lineup. I think they do damage. I think Luzardo pitches well enough to get his club the win. Even if he does give up a few runs to this Cardinals team, I just think Fetty's getting absolutely torched here. So give me the Phillies on the money line. Like I said, I'm sure it's probably going to be juiced, probably going to be a good parlay piece, but I like the Phillies here. Our next one, Milwaukee taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Logan Henderson versus Gavin Williams. I am a anti-Gavin Williams guy, as I'm sure a lot of people already know. I just don't think he's very good. I tried to take the over in the game today with two bad pitchers, and it really just didn't work because both offenses stink. So I don't want to lean into the obvious and take the under here, but I really do think it's probably the right play. Logan Henderson looked pretty good in the little bit of exposure he's had so far in the bigs. And Gavin Williams, I don't love him, but for whatever reason, he's a guy who just seems to defy all metrics and continue to pitch well. So I like the under here. Like I said, I hate that it feels super obvious, but these offenses are not hitting, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to get cute and say, oh, all of a sudden the bat's gonna come alive. I don't think they do. So give me the under in this one. Our next one here, this is game 2 of the Twins doubleheader. This is Simeon Woods Richardson taking on Chase McDermott. So McDermott, I want to say it's his MLB debut, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so for me here, game 2, typically what I like to do, I like to see how game 1 goes before I really get into game 2. Off rip though, I like the over in this spot. This is a spot where I do think we see a lot of runs. If you had to pick a side, I probably would lead Minnesota in game 2 as well, just because I don't know what McDermott's going to do in the bigs. And like I said, I'm just not sold on this Baltimore lineup. They are more of a headache to me than I think they should be, because you look at the lineup, you look at the names, and they should be really good. And maybe down the stretch they will be, but right now, man, they are incredibly frustrating. So lean Twins in game 2 as well. Like I said, if Twins win game 1, I'd be less inclined to play them in game 2, just because it's so hard to sweep a doubleheader, regardless of who the teams are. Our next one here, the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the San Francisco Giants. Eduardo Rodriguez versus Jordan Hicks. It's a pretty interesting one here. Obviously, I am a pretty big Giants fader, as we all know. I think I faded them the last 2 days. I kind of want to fade them here too, truthfully, because they just don't hit lefties well. Another game I don't have a line for just yet, but I like the Diamondbacks. Jordan Hicks is a guy who just, in my opinion, hasn't really caught on as a starter. He's had flashes where he has like a couple good starts here or there, but overall, gives up a lot of hard contact. Really doesn't miss as many bats as you think he would with how hard he throws. So, yeah, I like the Diamondbacks. Like I said, this just comes down to the fact the Giants just can't seem to hit lefties at all. And, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to try and get cute and back Jordan Hicks here. I mean, obviously, as I'm recording this, the Diamondbacks haven't played game 2 of the series yet. So, I mean, could they be going for a sweep potentially? Maybe. Could they be trying to take 2 out of 3? I mean, that's a possibility too. But as we all know, I'm on Diamondbacks today as well, so hopefully they come through. And we'll just keep riding them. Our next one here, the Yankees taking on the Mariners. Will Warren versus Luis Castillo. I like the over. Total sitting at 8. This is a spot Will Warren. He's a guy who likes to nibble, likes to try to work the corners. Not a guy who will typically leave it fat over the plate. But when you face a team like Seattle who sees a lot of pitches, if you're trying to nibble and you're not getting those calls, or you're not, getting guys to expand the zone, you're going to put guys on base. When you're putting guys on base against a team like Seattle who's crushing right-handed pitching, you're going to find yourself in trouble. Same thing can be said for the Yankees. We all know they see a lot of pitches. They are also crushing right-handed pitching. And Luis Castillo, in my opinion, is, obviously he's getting older, but I'd say, probably the worst he's been in his career. That's not a stretch to say. Like I said, age is getting up there. Stuff just isn't as good. And I think he really struggles against the Yankees lineup. So I like the over 8 here. Our next one is Game 2 of the Cardinals-Phillies doubleheader. Again, this is another one with a lot of rain, so we'll see if they play. But Sonny Gray taking on Aaron Nola. I'll be on the Cardinals here in Game 2. I like Sonny Gray a lot. I think he pitched really well, especially in Game 2 of this doubleheader. If you ever really pay attention to doubleheaders, typically K% does jump up a tad in Game 2. I think it's just a lot to do with all the ABs, maybe some tired legs, setting in a little bit of fatigue, whatever it may be. But K% seems to jump up for both teams in Game 2 of the doubleheader. So I think Sonny Gray K's would be a great look here if they play. And like I said, I like the Cardinals as a side here as well. I'm sure it'll be plus money because Aaron Nola at home gets a ton of line respect. I will gladly take Sonny Gray at plus money. Our next one here, the Boston Red Sox taking on the Detroit Tigers. Hunter Dobbins versus Tariq Skubal. I like the Tigers. This would be a spot where I would probably go out with like a Skubal performance double, 6 or 7 Ks in the Tigers money line. Skubal's just so locked in right now. This Boston team has not hit lefties well all season. I think actually most recently they saw Cole Reagans, and that's probably the best they've done against a lefty probably all season, truthfully. They just haven't seen lefties well overall, and I don't think that continues here on the road against Skubal. Skubal's a guy who's just been dominant at home. If you watch his last start, he's absolutely outstanding. Actually, his last 2 starts been absolutely outstanding. And he's just a guy who looks locked in right now. I listened to an interview with him talking about how he hasn't walked. I think he has 0 walks in like 40 innings or something like that. And they asked him about it, and he just said, he's like, my stuff's just better than, I believe my stuff is, better than these guys are, basically. Like, you're not going to hit it. And he's made it a point to just be aggressive in the zone, challenge hitters. And I can appreciate that, and it's something that I want to back, because when you got a pitcher like that who just doesn't care, who's going to try and blow it by you no matter what, and realistically he has success doing it, that's somebody who I want to put my money on, who I want to get behind. So like I said, it's either 6 or 7 Ks, whatever gets you to even money with the money line. I like the Tigers. I like Skubal here. Our next one, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Ryan Pepiot versus Chris Bassett. I'm definitely not a big Bassett guy. I'm not a big Pepiot guy either, truthfully. These are 2 guys who I honestly could never bet on, and I'd be perfectly fine. I think there's some value here on the Rays at plus money. Bassett, for me, is a guy who, he throws a lot of pitches. None of them are really great. And a lot of his game is reliant on guys expanding the zone, and you're just not going to see that here from this Tampa Bay team. Doesn't miss a ton of bats in the zone, and I think that's kind of where the struggles come in. So I like Tampa Bay here. Like I said, it's tough to want to back Pepiot because he's kind of in a funk. But this Toronto team's been super inconsistent, so I feel like it's one of those spots where maybe you just get an off day for the Blue Jays, which, that's really not, asking for too much, because, like I said, they've been pretty inconsistent all season. Yeah, so give me the Jays here at plus money. Our next one, the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the New York Mets. Another game with a lot of weather. Bailey Falter versus Clay Holmes. It's boring, but the Mets money line, it's minus 265. Pair it with somebody else, but I just don't think this team's losing to the Pirates. Bailey Falter, I think, is really going to struggle here. This Mets team, whether it's against righties or lefties, has been crushing the ball overall. And Falter's a guy who obviously doesn't miss a lot of bats. I think he's in for a pretty rough outing here. So for me here, like I said, Mets money line, pair it with something else. I think that's a great parlay piece. Yeah, I just like the Mets a lot. Like I said, I backed Falter a time or 2, and I don't know. This just sets up, in my opinion, as a bad matchup for him. Our next one here, the Chicago White Sox taking on Cincinnati Reds. Davis Martin versus Nick Lodolo. This is a pretty interesting one here. I am definitely an anti-Lodolo kind of guy. I don't really understand what's happened with him since the injuries. If he's afraid of getting hurt, whatever it may be. Has the good stuff, but just isn't getting the Ks that he used to get. Isn't getting the chase he used to get. And you look at this White Sox team, what they've done so far this season. They're walking a lot more. They're not chasing. And ultimately, it's leading to a lot longer at bats. So against a guy like Lodolo, who's already kind of struggling to get the chase that he saw, in healthier seasons. I kind of want to take a shot here on the White Sox. It's pretty nasty, but like White Sox plus 1.5 is playable. It's minus 110 right now, and that's where I'm gonna go. White Sox plus 1.5. It's a scary bet to make for sure because this team is junk. But like I said, they're putting together competitive at bats, and this Reds bullpen isn't great. So I think at the very least, if they can maybe get a run or two off Lodolo, they could add some more against the bullpen. And like I said, this is a team that I think believes that. I mean, I don't believe they're like a playoff team or anything, but just kind of like being a White Sox fan and reading all the stuff about the team, this is a team that feels like they're at least building something and feels like they have a reason to go to work every day, just from what I've been reading. And it kind of shows in the metrics too. Like I said, they're not chasing like they were last year, not striking out nearly as much. Just having, like I said, putting together a lot more like professional at bats. So I want to lean into that a bit here. I like the White Sox plus 1.5. I think they keep this game close. They might even win it, truthfully. But I'm going to take a little bit of cushion here with the plus 1.5. Our next one here, the Washington Nationals taking on the Atlanta Braves. Mitchell Parker versus Bryce Elder. Just give me the over. Mitchell Parker's a guy who's been getting tattooed. I don't see that changing here. Braves team's been incredibly frustrating to back, truthfully, offensively. I just feel like they just don't hit when I back them. But I'm going to give it another go. And then on the other side, Bryce Elder, certified turkey tosser. This guy stinks. I don't care what anybody has to say. Struggles against lefties. Obviously, a lot of the bats in this Nationals lineup are lefty. All the big bats are lefty. So yeah, give me the over 8.5. I think this thing soars. Our next one here, the Miami Marlins taking on the Chicago Cubs. Ryan Weathers versus Jameson Taillon. I mean, Cubs minus 25 on the money line is absolutely disgusting. So definitely not something I want to bet. I like the under. We don't have a total out yet because I'm sure they're waiting to see what the weather looks like. But with these two pitchers, I think there's just a lot of soft contact. And like I said, I like the under. I'm assuming I looked at the weather myself. Didn't look like anything's gonna be too extreme in terms of wind. Looks like it'll be blowing in. So I think this total probably opens around maybe 8, and I'd be on that under here. Our next one, the Colorado Rockies taking on the Texas Rangers. Senzatella versus Patrick Corbin. I mean, Texas minus, like, I just can't get over these prices against the Rockies. Like, I know they're bad, but like Texas shouldn't be minus 250 at any point. I mean, they're like minus 200 something today with Leiter against Kyle Freeland. I mean, these prices they're just priced like the Dodgers, and I just don't think it's warranted at all. I don't, like I said, it's just so tough to back the Rockies because they just don't hit. It's another spot. I mean, it's nasty. It's nasty. But I kind of want to take the Rockies plus 1.5. When I was looking at this game, that was like the first thing that stuck out to me. I mean, Senzatella stinks. I'm not saying he doesn't. But Patrick Corbin, like, sneakily has been really good. I talked about it a couple times. He's just not giving up a lot of hard contact this year. So I do think he pitches well. I mean, Texas probably wins the game. I'm not even going to argue that they don't. But like I said, I just something about this game, like, I don't know. I got a weird vibe about it. We'll leave the Rockies plus 1.5 as a lean. It's probably not anything I'm putting money on, though. So take that for what it is. Our next one here, the Angels taking on the Padres. Kyle Hendricks versus Randy Vasquez. So Randy Vasquez minus 200 favorite. Again, just a diabolical number. It's really so hard to find value sometimes with these games like this. I like the Padres. I like the over. But my concern is obviously the Angels lineup just really hard to trust. So I lean the over 8.5. I would probably isolate it to the Padres team total and just trust them to score off of Hendricks and off of this Angels bullpen. If you've watched the Angels, obviously they had that offensive explosion in game 1 of this series. But for the most part, they're just a team that doesn't come up with clutch hits. Doesn't really seem to be figuring things out at the plate or want to figure things out at the plate. So lean the over 8.5. Like I said, I'd probably feel more comfortable isolating it to the Padres team total. Our next one here, and I believe the last one on the slate, is the Athletics taking on the Dodgers. Gunnar Hoglund versus Yoshi Yamamoto. I mean, Yamamoto PPD I think probably pays here. Obviously, it's probably like 6Ks in the money line to get close to even money. Hoglund's been good, but obviously this matchup's a bit tougher for him, and I think he struggles here. This could be like that sort of like welcome to the majors kind of spot, you know what I mean? So I like the Yoshi PPD. In terms of the total, I looked at the under. It's total's 8.5, but we do have some wind blowing out. LA is not like a place where like super like wind affected, but I don't know. I worry that the Dodgers could probably put up, 7 or 8 runs themselves. So ultimately, like I said, I sell on the Yoshi PPD. I think that's the best angle here. But that does conclude the slate. Before I hop off of here, my 3 best bets, I would say that Yoshi PPD is number 1 for sure. Number 2, I would say the over in the Braves Nationals game, over 8.5. And then number 3, the Scooble PPD, the 6 or 7 Ks and the Tigers money line. So like the PPD route here, it's always one of my popular just plays. I think it's a good way to get value sometimes, some of these juice money lines. Taking, especially if there's like an ace in the bump. Getting even money for that always feels like a good value play to me. As always, you can get all my official plays at GoldBoys.com. If you have a gambling problem, don't worry, hard gambler. Thank you guys.